"Shall I burn the guy?" Several of the men replied with hearty approval, while others began to clap. We soon all joined in, applauding as he lowered the spill toward the pool of brandy at the base of the pudding. Many of us gasped as a burst of flame flared upward, igniting the dessert and the base of the effigy's clothing. I pressed a hand to my chest, giggling at my reaction as the fire settled into a steadier blaze, albeit one more intense than would be to my liking, were the spectacle taking place in my dining room. I was not unfamiliar with the traditions of Guy Fawkes' Night celebrations, which commemorated the foiled gunpowder plot of 1605, when Guy Fawkes and his collaborators schemed to blow up the Houses of Parliament. But my past experiences had been limited to the country. There we attended a church service in the morning for the reading of the Observance Act, and then gathered with a small party of local nobility and gentry, sometimes walking out to see the bonfires lit in the nearest village after nightfall. These bonfires inevitably featured their own effigy of Guy, but this was the first time I'd seen one burned inside someone's home, and an earl's palatial residence at that. The celebrations among the nobility in London were generally quite tame. However, due to the king's coronation in September, a larger number than usual of the aristocracy had remained in town for autumn and all the fates following the royal event. So the Countess of Redditch had decided to host a bonfire night ball, complete with a makeshift bonfire on her dining room table. I do hope they anchored that effigy in more than that mound of pudding. Gage's brow furrowed as he studied the burning spectacle. "Well, let's not stand around waiting to see. You and Tavistock fetch us some food before the whole thing goes up in flames," I declared, as I swiveled to thread my arm through Lorna's. "Yes, do," she enthused. Gage's face split into a grin, but it was his cousin, Alfred, who prodded him forward. "Far be it for me to disobey such an order. If I've learned anything in the last 3 months, it's never to stand between a woman who is increasing and her food." His eyes twinkled at us devilishly as he danced out of the way, narrowly missing his wife's playful swat with her fan. Trevor escorted us, as well as his own dinner companion, Miss Ellen Newbury, through a maze of puffed sleeves, some so voluminous as to double the width of the wearer's shoulders. I wasn't sure I would ever reconcile myself to this ridiculous style, much preferring the narrower shoulders of my Parma violet gown, with à la reine sleeves of blonde net. Then again, I had never cared much for what was fashionable. Only recently had I made an effort so as not to embarrass my new husband. Sebastian Gage was one of the most dashing and attractive gentlemen in all of Britain. That he had wed me, a scandalous outcast, had shocked more than a few members of the ton, and infuriated the mothers of debutantes, who each thought their own daughter would be a better match. After settling us at a table, Trevor went off to do his duty, filling Miss Newbury's plate. Unfortunately, I realized too late that we were situated much too close to where Lady Felicity Spencer held sway. Our gazes locked for a moment across the short distance before I looked away, not wishing to incite her antagonism, though she had in no way confronted me directly. In fact, I believed I'd only exchanged greetings with her twice. I was well aware of her scorn and not so silent ridicule. No, a woman like Lady Felicity would never be so overt with her contempt. Instead, she let her veiled comments to others and reminders about my past do the trick. As such, I had navigated the past 10 weeks since our arrival in London by avoiding her and her like. I'd discovered that not all members of society held me in disdain, and so I gravitated toward those who were more welcoming. Lorna herself was somewhat of a persona non grata, being the illegitimate daughter of a nobleman, though in time her status as Viscountess Tavistock would render that fact obsolete. However, the Newburys were among those of sterling reputation who viewed me with kindness, and so I found I could converse easily with Miss Newbury. The sweet-natured girl had just finished describing to me the bonnet she had purchased earlier that day when my friend, the Dowager Lady Stratford, appeared at my elbow. "Are these seats claimed?" She dimpled at me, her cheeks flushed with happiness. The prescribed mourning period for her rotten blackguard of a husband had only recently ended, and I was pleased to see her attired in a stunning azure evening gown.